think that I like that. I like that. Try the veal. It's.
I think you like that one, Jan.
It's really, really good, man. It's really, really good. Hey, so Kenny, what do you have to say for yourself? As you can see, the show is produced perftly. So for those people,
your turn.
So
I think are we live, Jan? I think we're live. Is this thing on?
Is this thing on? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. For all you people that are joining us now on Facebook and YouTube, welcome. You could have come in early and you could have had all the mayhem in the world that you wanted. But this is the SoundBroker Mastermind RoundTable here, where we talk about things that are happening today in current events, how it affects our industry, and how we could survive these tough times of COVID until we could all come back to normal, if there is such a thing as normal. And I will also preface it by saying that everything you hear today is an opinion, so that if you want to check out the truth of it all, you know how to do it. So we're going to open up the room, and hi everybody, and welcome to the Mastermind Roundtable. And now, yes, it seems like I'm almost unprepared. You know, after this is the 46th episode, and it seems like, what? I don't know. Where am I? You know, what's going on around here? But we are set. There's a lot of news. So much is going on in the world right now. And today we're going to cover a lot of things. So the first thing I want to say is that I heard that there might be another stimulus check heading our way. And if you've recently submitted your 2020 taxes, even if you've already gotten the $1,400, there might be another round of federal relief coming your way. So they're called plus up payments, and the IRS is processing them now. Has anybody heard about that? Anybody other than me? No. Well, there you go.
I don't know. I read something about it a little earlier today. Like I skimmed a headline somewhere and I thought, oh, that's nice, and kind of moved right on.
So yeah. my wife's a tax accountant, and she's aware of it. And what it's doing, it's causing complete havoc, because in the state of California, unlike Hawaii, for instance, we extended the tax season out to May. So May 15th is your deadline. Those of you guys who haven't finished your taxes, don't worry too much, unless you're in Hawaii. Hawaii, you got to submit your taxes quick. So that's the new stimulus checks that are supposed to be coming out. Remember that the parts of those last year, they weren't considered tax. Rather, there was tax on them. But then this year, recently, the IRS said that a portion of that will not be taxable. So yes, it's coming. Just make sure you talk to your tax accountant before you cash that check.
See, there you go. More money. You listen to the show, you got more money right away. There you have it. What do you know? Money. Also, the Ppp Extension Act of 2021 went into law. And basically right now they've extended the deadline to May 31st, and it extends the PP authorization through June 30th. So if you're applying for the PPP loan, then that's something that you should know about. And I know that I've gotten mine. I'm sure there's a bunch of people in the room that have gotten it as well. But it's good money, and that's where it is. Now, I was hoping that Eric Todd or Michael Strickland would come into the room, because I've been getting a lot of emails about this SVOG and how it affects us. And I throw a link up there. Does anybody know what he's talking about in these last letters about there was a mistake? And anybody have any idea what he was talking about?
I figure it doesn't refer to me as a live sound guy. I'm pretty sure it doesn't apply to me, so I've been kind of ignoring those recent ones.
Yeah, and it doesn't apply to me because I'm an install person, and even the couple of friends I have who are venue operators, they became venue operators last year. They bought closed venues, so it doesn't apply to them because it was a transfer of ownership, so that left them out in the cold. But from what I gather, the language that the SBA or Congress or whomever committees crafted was poorly written, and they're sorting all that out now. The rough gist of it is not his very last email, because that's the one that said, hey, there's a mistake in these items. The one before that, from today, from the 7th, indicated that you don't have to strictly be a venue operator to qualify for SVOG. In certain cases, production companies, So if Ken was a company and he also rented gear, he would qualify. But simply as a person who shows up and works on other people's gear, he does not qualify. So those last couple of emails, if you look at them, there's some breakdown as to who qualifies and who doesn't.
Well, on behalf of everyone on the panel, I want to thank you for clearing that up for me, although it's still not clear for me. I feel like, wow.
I will say this, Jan, you don't qualify.
Oh, damn. No wonder I don't qualify.
Which is really, at the end of the day, all anybody wants to know is, do I qualify?
That's correct. Do I qualify? And I thought that they were going to move it into live events. I thought that was the whole idea, that all these letters that we're sending out to our congressmen or senators, to the SBA, I thought that was what the whole concept
under
was.
certain conditions, promoters also might qualify. But it also, there's some size conditions as well. Live Nation, et cetera, they do not qualify. Corporations that are publicly traded, automatic disqualifier. If your revenue is over a certain amount, you don't qualify. It doesn't matter what category you're in.
Well, hopefully they'll fix that, because I would like to be able to get some more money if I can, because more money is better than less money. That's for sure.
It's almost like your nickname once upon a time was Cash.
That's it. That's absolutely right. And you know what?
You know, there's a quote that relates to that Cash Landy guy from 1990. What was it? 1993 or something?
But do you have like a note on your wall or something?
I think I have a note. It's right over here, actually. It's right here. It says, well, you can't see it because it's all fuzzed out, but there it is. And it says, can you read it?
I could read it.
Yeah, okay.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It went away. But there you go. Anyway, it says, money is a fucking great tool, man.
And like he wrote it down. He said he was so impressed with that quote that he had to write it down, and
hold on to it for 23 years.
The philosophy of Jan Landy.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well,
that's it in a nutshell right there.
I just want to know, is that Post-it note still got Stickum on the back, or after that long?
No,
nope.
It's got a lot of dirt.
My philosophy really comes from W.C. Fields, where he says, you can't cheat an honest man, never give her a sucker an even break, or smarten up a chump. And that's how I live my life right there. It's if you're an honest man, you can't cheat another honest man, because you're honest. It's only people that are dishonest that will allow themselves to be cheated. So that's something that, and the other thing that I have a couple of signs in my office. One says that I'm not here just to make a living. I'm here to make a difference, and who I am makes a difference. And then David Dansky in the room many, many years ago gave me a little wood carving of a picture of George Washington. And it says, David, do you remember what it says, by the way?
No.
It says, anything worth doing. And on the bottom, it says, is worth doing for money. So that's how I live my life. That's how I live my life.
Seems reasonable to me.
That's right. So the industry right now is going to the dogs. All right. The Andrew Gumper, I don't know who he is, but he's the founder and CEO of AG Production Services, is working on creating a fleet of beagles to be used as COVID sniffing dogs at venues. And I know that the Miami Heat are using, I think, German Shepherds, but now there's beagles to the rescue. So for all you dog lovers, when you go into, just think about it like this.
They use beagles to find bed bugs and termites all the time. That's
Do they really?
That is rock solid proven science. Yes. The best termite, other than obviously if you see termites, then the question is resolved. But if you think you have termites, but they're not visible, that's what a lot of pest companies will bring out. They'll bring out a trained beagle. And they do it with bed bugs in hotels all the time.
So does the bed bug smell the bed? Or does the dog smell the bed bugs, or is it?
Yes, the dogs smell essentially the bed bug excrement.
It's funny. When I came into this, we were talking about what the new normal is going to be, and I was going to ask, what's the new normal? But I think we're getting it right now.
discussing
Yeah, I
bed
think-
bug
Beagles,
excrement.
beagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, beagles are the, chasing bed bugs in hotels.
So here's the question,
USDA
Mike. Do those beagles need to be specially trained to
Yes.
notice
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So the USDA's been using them for about 30 years. They're called the Beagle Brigade at airports to sniff out food and items in luggage that's coming into the country. I have a friend that works for that team, and he can't keep his dog inside because his dog is trained to sniff both oranges and apples and that type of fruit out. And the dog goes crazy because he can smell them through the refrigerator.
So the question is, will hotels be employing fleets of beagles, or will there be service organizations that get hired out by the hotels to come sniff out all the rooms?
Well, if Andrew Gumper has his way, everybody will have their own pet beagle, to sniff out everything they want, So now when you enter a venue, I wonder if a cat could come up with something, like the cats, and that way
cats couldn't care less.
They could care less, yeah.
Yeah, just think though, but if you go into a venue, you could, if they had cats and dogs, first you would get a cat scan, and then you'd get a pet scan as you went through.
Oh, jeez.
Wrong.
Nah.
Is
All
the show
that
over
work
with
for
already?
that?
Hey,
man,
can you boot him out of the room?
You heard my dachshund's feelings. Not a beagle.
Has this worked for you in the past, Jan?
Yes,
Just
it's
pin some
actually
careers on them.
there it is. We have a guest star, ladies and gentlemen, a COVID sniffing dachshund. That's it. So getting on to things, speaking of all of these things, Fauci announced that the federal government will not mandate vaccine passports. And the other thing that the CDC just came out with is that you only need to disinfect surfaces in your house if someone with COVID has been in your house in the last 24 hours. So what I recommend is quickly get a dog to sniff this out. And if the dog finds something, quickly disinfect. All right, there we are. So, but speaking of vaccine passports, New York released a live entry app. Now, who in our New York field of reporters, is there anybody here from our New York field of reporters that could address what's happening with that passport, with that app? Anybody? Where are all our New Yorkers today? Oh, well, we're
It's
moving
late
on.
in New York. It's late.
Screw New York.
They're all out doing gigs.
Yeah, that.
Let's hope. Hey, Ralph, aren't you in New York, Ralph?
Maybe I'm not. Maybe
Ralph.
I am.
Ralph, have you heard of anything about the vaccine passport? I heard about the vaccine passport on Trevor Noah's show last night. Did you hear what his take on it was?
No.
Yeah, Ralph, we were wondering if you've heard anything about vaccine passports.
Well, actually, it's the
in New York.
live event entry app that you have to get into a venue in New York.
Yeah, I've kind of been in that space with a company called Cleared 4. It's a really clever company. They've got a great kind of COVID management, but that's kind of gone by the wayside at this point. Now the passport portion of this company is really slick, and we've been working with MSG and a few companies, but the IBM, which is really the big dog, has come in with their Excelsior Pass and is kind of kicking everybody's ass. But it seems to be, at the moment, what everybody at least is going to acquiesce to, just agree to do this vaccination passport thing. So the platform has really not been chosen, but it's kind of VHS Betamax at this point. But, the talk is that's kind of going to be the norm for most big cities for sporting events and live events and anything that has to do with, mass gatherings.
Yeah,
Ralph, I can't help but notice that you're on a tour bus.
Fuck. That's why I turned my camera off. I am. I'm out mixing an old client of mine, Tracy Lawrence, who I did from 95 through 98. And,
all right.
Because of the times we're in, every time anybody posts anything has to do with something going on, I just text them and go, I'm in. So before I finished hitting send the other day, I'm in. He called me and he goes, seriously, I just let my guy go. Come on out. Old times. So here I am. It's great.
Good for you. Good for you. What part of the country are you in presently?
We just passed through Columbia, Missouri. It's a submarine ride from Nashville to Casper, Wyoming.
Oh boy! Wow.
So are you heading to Casper, Wyoming right now?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just called me from Casper just before the show. I'll try to set you up with him. He owns a happening bar in Casper. And so I've always wanted to go to Casper just because it's a friendly town.
Yeah, like a ghost. Yeah.
Oh, that was good, Jan.
So is the bus is actually moving right now while you're talking?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's good.
People are using the bathroom right behind him and everything.
Yeah.
It's live. It's live Zoom, baby. Live Zoom.
So let me ask you this, Ralph. Were you all required to be vaccinated or something in order to go on this road trip?
That's like the slippery slope. Nobody, to date, as far as I know, has ever said in any way, shape, or form you have to be vaccinated. I think everybody's avoiding backing anyone into the corner. Personally, I haven't. I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to. It's whenever it happens, it happens. I'm not averse to it, but no, there's no. People have to be really careful. Organizations, whether they or how they handle that situation. So far, there's no mandatory. If you're not vaccinated, you can't come to my playground.
So what makes you feel confident that you're not going to get a COVID crew thing happening?
No confidence in anything.
Well, one thing that I did read is that the data suggests now that vaccinated individuals don't carry the virus or will get sick by this, and the CDC just reported that just like the other day. And so
news, because everything I've heard is you can be vaccinated and still be a carrier, up until a few days ago.
Yeah, well, so they changed that. They changed that announcement with the announcement from a few days ago. It said, no, we go back on that. Now we say that you cannot be a carrier because the statistics say that that's not happening.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, that is it. Well, that's what the CDC just announced, and that's why it's news right now. News. That's it. That's what we have. But and you know what? It really must work because the Nevada regulators here are pushing for licensees to get all their workers vaccinated. And the gaming commission right now, the gaming commission will not open the hotels unless all the employees start to get vaccinated. So right now, gaming floors are limited to 50% capacity. But as soon as they get their employees vaccinated, they'll lift that limit up. Mike Brown might know more about that than me.
Yeah, this was really genius on their part, because up until now, they had no carrots, they only had sticks. So for example, if there is a customer in a casino, a player or a guest, as we like to call them, who is not wearing their mask or not wearing it properly, and somebody from the Gaming Commission walks in and spots them, the Gaming Commission, of course, doesn't need permission to go to security. They just go to security and they go, I want to look at machine number 482. I want to see tape on that machine for the last hour. And if 3 employees have walked by that guest when that guest didn't have their mask on or didn't have it on properly, and none of the 3 employees said anything, that is a $100,000 fine. So that's been the stick portion. So the casinos have been pretty hardcore about it. The carrot portion now is, so the way it works here in the state is, at the moment, the state is in charge of setting limits for everybody except casinos. The Nevada Gaming Commission regulates casinos, and they have the authority there. On May 1st, the state will back out and the local jurisdictions will take over everybody except casinos. That'll still be an NGC function. So what Nevada Gaming is saying now is, regardless of what the governor says, regardless of what the county or city or your town says come May 1st, we're the ones that'll decide when you go up from 50%, and we're going to tie it to what percentage of employees you have had vaccinated. So now MGM, Caesars, Wynn, Venetian, Cosmo, Stations, and Boyd all have their own vaccination centers for their employees. And that their employees get paid to go get vaccinated. So now there's not even a question of, can I afford time off, or can you change my shift? No, it is, by the way, Susie, your shift, because they're not doing it. They have one, all these companies have one property that they've designated. So for Boyd, it's the Orleans, actually in the arena. They're saying, okay, Susie, on Wednesday, before you come to work at Gold Coast, you have to stop by the Orleans arena and get your vaccination.
Now, just curious to know, Michael, how would you know so much about the Orleans Hotel if you weren't doing a trade show over there on the 13th?
Well, Boyd Gaming has been a customer for years. We do a lot of work together, both on the kind of bread and butter AV, ceiling speakers and conference rooms and like that, but then also on the entertainment side, their production systems. I've touched every one of their showrooms in town and almost all of their restaurants that have entertainment. But yes, I do on May 13th have a trade show, Cavlo, happening at the Orleans Hotel. It is a one-day pro audio video lighting and control systems trade show for both the install and production community. As a matter of fact, it is the only pro audio video lighting and control systems trade show on the West Coast this year. So if anybody wants more information, go to cavlo.tech, cavlo.tech, and there's a link there to register to attend. It's complimentary for industry professionals. If you're in a manufacturer and wish to exhibit, there's information about that as well there. And if you don't find the answer to all your questions, my email is several places on the website, mike@cavlo.tech.
There you have it. Now, that was a paid political announcement. And fortunately now, Mr. Ken Porter is entering the room, and now the fun will really begin. Okay. That's it, because we've got a reporter in Nashville now that's going to talk about the AES show that happened. But before we get to that, I need to say something that really is important, and that's Michael Rupino. For those guys who don't know who he is, he's the CEO of Live Nation, and he wasn't supposed to come in the room. I couldn't get him on, but I'm working on it. I'm telling you, I'm working on it. But basically, he said just the other day that the U.S. can have musical festivals open by midsummer, and we'll post a link on that as well. And so there's a lot going on. I mean, Polestar announced the return. So seeing we're getting back into business right now, Polestar announced that they're going to put back on the Live 75, which basically is their chart of revenue of concerts that are taking place. So now, evidently, there's going to be concerts taking place. Otherwise, there would be no revenue. It would be a concert 0, 0, 0, 0. So that wouldn't make good reading at all. So obviously, there's going to be some concerts coming up, and basically, yes.
To that, I was just reading today that Eric Church announced he's starting his concert series on September 17th and running it through 2022. So he's lined stuff up.
That's really good. It's excellent, as a matter of fact. So those things like that things, and the UK right now is saying that they're going to resume 100% capacity on June 21st. So I would think that a lot of things are going to start to really open up right now.
California is June 15th.
Yeah, June 15th. I was just going to say, June 15th, we're back to 100% normal.
Yeah, and Australia just gave $135 million to the funding packages for festivals, and California, Disneyland is opening up, so everything seems to be opening up right now. New Jersey's got Count Basie Theater. They're going to be doing outdoor shows. Bonnaroo is opening. The Fuji Rock Festival in Japan is going to take place this summer. Wonderstruck in Cleveland. So there is a lot going on. I mean, there's a ton going on. So let's go around the room and let's talk about what everybody knows, intrinsically in their market. And Ken Porter, let's talk about AES. Tell us about it. How many people showed up? What was it like? What's going on?
last Friday I had, or last Wednesday, I wasn't on last week, is we had the AES, we call the spring training event. I had I went down a sound check. We did rooms B, C, and D with DMB, L Acoustics, and Meyer. And we showed immersive and how to mix for immersive. Had several console manufacturers park consoles in that had software that controlled the immersive system. And then I had in room A, I had 16 different booths with different manufacturers like, SSL, Digico, Avid, Yamaha, several Direct Out. Direct Out had a new interesting piece where they were doing using GPS locating to sync real-time recording in Dante of 64 tracks that you could do live in multiple places in the tracking there, which was kind of fun. We had about 337, I think, people through the door in a day. I ran the hours longer from 9 until 7. So social distancing is not a factor when you're not in the building at the same time. So that's why I spread them out over the day. But we ended up pretty good there. And then our plan was pretty good. The only drawback I had to it is that I picked March 31st because it was, before everybody starts up. Pretty much sound check got busy this week, and they're, yesterday or day before, they said they were booked up pretty much through June. So why we picked last week, but it put me too close to Easter, and it got me a little in trouble with, I didn't get many church people because they're all tied up getting ready for Easter. And I'm surprised at how many manufacturers have a fiscal year end of March 31st. I never realized that before. I knew Yamaha did, but I was explaining that the English that their tax year starts April 1st and goes to March 31st. That's why a lot of English companies are based out of that, come out of that same fiscal year. But then coming out of that, I didn't think that Easter would be that busy. All of a sudden I ended up with 7 shows this Easter, plus, several other rentals and stuff going out, pickups and stuff there. So it turned into just a nightmare train wreck in my warehouse. And Monday I got in here early and unloaded 7 trucks and turned one around and loaded out a church corporate AV with the breakout rooms and a main room and all that stuff that left on Monday too. So it's
good for you, man. Good for you.
It's hit the ground running here.
So let me ask you, how were you able to crew all of this? Were you able to find enough crew?
I've been pulling some people. I went out and worked. I've got some people that contract. I have a few people that are not coming back, but they came and worked over the weekend, because their other job, on Sunday they can work the weekend. But yeah, that's why I'm a little late jumping here, is I'm working on trying to figure out how to get people back and how to get them, what they need.
Okay. Well, we got a bunch of engineers in this room, by the way. I'm sure that then we would find some engineers if you needed it.
Well, remember the one from a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to know from Kenny Newman is, I opened up the new 225 and I looked at it and says, I can't use this case. And he said, why? He says, the doghouse isn't big enough. And the Digico guys looked at me and says, well, you sound like Kenny Newman. Said he puts everything in the whole stage in the back of his doghouse. So my question is, what in the world does Kenny Newman put in his doghouse?
Wait, what? Who told you that? Because back in the PM 4000 days, certainly I put a lot of stuff in that doghouse, like all the multi cables for all the inserts and stuff. But these days, what's in there? Just a couple Matty cables.
I was told you had mic stands.
Oh, yeah. Of course you put a mic stand in your doghouse. You don't?
Mic stands. Did you put the teapot? You put the clear comm? What else do you put in there?
Sure. Doesn't everybody?
Oh, you put Shure in there as well. That's good. That's good to know. That's a good thing.
Both
so
brothers?
Ken, seriously, talk about how many people were at the AES. I mean, how many people actually physically came in there, and were you seeing the hybrid aspect of it? For not only was it there for people who wanted to attend, but for those people who wanted to watch it in the comfort of their own streaming environment.
Now, I didn't stream it. They had some of the manufacturers, still some manufacturers won't let people travel. So, well, SSL, Fernando had some knee issues, whatever, and he's had surgery. So he had to do a FaceTime. And Robert and whatever, the Avid, we set up a screen, and Robert controlled the consoles that I had set up there for him and his booth. People walk up and talk to Robert and chant and sort out things and questions, and he would show them around the updates and stuff on the console and everything there with software from his console in Phoenix.
Yeah, for those who don't know who Robert is, it was Robert Scoville and Chan Peck from Avid. So that's good. So you're busy. You're busy. So Brian, tell me in North Carolina, what is going on in North Carolina?
Not enough. So, we're seeing some stuff start to open a little bit, but not at the pace. South Carolina is wide open. I mean, if I just drive 10 miles and cross the state line, I'm okay. But, Myrtle Beach is crowded. I talked to a couple of people that came back from there, and they said you wouldn't even realize COVID's been going on. It's back to normal down there. No, we're waiting for venues and things to hold up, and our governor's still holding capacity down. So,
okay. So now, and another thing that Ken Porter mentioned was manufacturers and how many manufacturers year-end closing is on the 31st of March. And the way you know that, Ken, is your phone was ringing from a lot of manufacturers saying, hey, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy?
Let's make a deal or something like that. I had a bunch of installs. I've got a lot of installs out right now too, those have broke loose also, and trying to get a lot of year end on the books, and after the year end, that part. The other issue I had with the 31st closing is that a lot of them couldn't spend money in last year's budget. They had to push it forward to this year's budget.
Mm-hmm. So now we have some manufacturer reps and manufacturers in the room, I believe. We've got Kelly Fair, and we've got Ed, and we've got Don Hartley. So you guys want to add something to this? What you're seeing as far as the need for new equipment right now and how it's presenting? Ed, why don't you go first, and then Kelly, and then Don.
Well, I did get some information regarding the much anticipated Midas HD mixer that is supposed to be showing up here for years, but China has just finished a 3-week burn-in testing series. So they are going to ship at the end of this month and that's confirmed. So there's been some units already released in Canada, and so far no bugs, no issues. But as far as live venues going, that hasn't quite opened up here yet.
So now basically let's just talk about the demand, the phone calls that you're getting right now. Are you seeing an upsurge in phone calls of people requesting more information from you than you did, let's just say 2 months ago?
That's across the board. The guys that are doing the live stuff, they're still hurting. Guys that have been doing 70 volt 8 ohm installations, that hasn't stopped. We actually had a very good year last year, and it continues in 2021. So it just depends on what part of the market you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kelly, what about you? What are you seeing out there?
It's actually, business is pretty good right now. Film and television production is really cranking right now. We have a few new products. I'm with Electrosonics. We have a few new products, and where they're doing exceptionally well. My problem right now is that with big reality shows, the rental houses don't have the finances to buy, 40, 50 channels of wireless microphones like they would have, 2 years ago in order to do a show. So we have that as a challenge that's in front of us, but we have some other new products that, are doing really well. Live sound is not really coming around. There's a lot of sniffing at this point in time. I really anticipate that that's going to pick up quite a bit. But overall, I'm going to say that business, well, I mean, March was a pretty darn good month. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely picking up in the production world, production sound. Few churches here and there, few television stations, but mostly for us right now, it's the reality world and the film and television production.
Yeah, I've heard that television production is up something like 50% from last year right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's way better. Let's face it, last year was pretty bad, but it's a lot better. There's no doubt about it. So we're excited about that.
Don Hartley, Don, what are you seeing?
I have to echo Ed and Kelly, for the integration side of things, it's been pretty good, throughout, considering what we've been through. And for production, it's been pretty slow, but as of last month, the phone started ringing more.
Don, excuse me for 1 second. Why don't you, so people know what brands you carry? I should have added that with Ed as well. Just
so I live here in
top 4 brands that of what you carry.
I live here in Las Vegas, and I'm the Sennheiser rep for Southern Nevada. I also represent EAW speakers, RCF speakers, PowerSoft amplifiers, Roland Pro AV switchers, Tascam recording products, another dozen or so. I could take the rest of the time talking about, but it's across the board. The phone's been ringing more, and that's a good feeling. And the people I'm talking to are excited about, getting back to work. I got my first call this week for an audio engineering job in a couple weeks. So all the way around, it's getting better. So thank goodness.
And what are you seeing as far as time of ordering to the time of delivering? Is there a just-in-time philosophy right now on these manufacturers, or do they have inventory on the shelves? Just order it and we'll ship it right away.
Across my brands, it varies extremely. So as far as Neumann's concerned, I'm still, the demand outweighs the supply as far as Neumann's concerned. But as far as like Ed was saying with the 70 volt systems and stuff, like I'm also the sound tube rep, so all my MSE stuff is shipping business as usual. RCF has been doing great the whole time. So I would say speakers and amps, PowerSoft has been shipping no problem through the whole time. There was like a little bottleneck last March, and that was about it. So as far as amps and speakers, I'm fine. As far as condenser mics and shotgun mics, it's a little rough because the demand outweighs the supply by quite a bit.
Kelly, what's your advance ordering? And if we were going to order, how soon could you ship?
Really depends on the product. But I will say, if you had placed an order with me 2 months ago, I probably could have shipped right off the shelf. Right now, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 weeks with the hotter items delivery.
Now, is anybody having a problem with chips? I hear the chips or the Suez Canal or either one of those things affecting anything?
Foam is the other one.
So AKM had that fire last year, and
fire. Yeah.
That really put a hurting on probably 6 of my manufacturers. Felt the pain from that chip, that semiconductor fire, but all of them have overcome and are back after it.
Okay.
Well, and wasn't one of the challenges too that AKM rented production capacity from several other chip makers, but one of them also caught fire, and it's the one that supplies Ford and GM a lot of their chips, and that's why we've got cars and trucks just sitting in parking lots waiting to be finished in Detroit. And then the other one I heard of, Jan, was foam, packing foam. For some reason, packing foam, there's a shortage, and I had one manufacturer that couldn't ship because they had no way of packing the item properly, because it has custom foam. It's an odd shaped item, and it's electronics and all that. So, I still don't know when I'm getting that actually. But sure, Vadio, Cisco. I ordered from all of them early last week and got them all by the end of the week. So far, so good.
Very good. All right. So we know what's going on in the world, more or less. What's happening with everybody's personal life now? Is everybody okay? Is everybody doing all right? Let's just go around the rooms. Who wants to chime in right now?
Okay.
Nobody.
Also,
David, there you go.
So after a year and 3 months of no work, I've got a show coming up on May 1st in Las Vegas with Charo, and then possibly a long-term engagement in Charo at a club in downtown.
You and Charo are getting engaged?
Yeah, we've been together for 30 years. It just
don't tell his wife.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Just don't tell his wife. That's all.
Just got my coochie going.
I saw a headline that she was talking about. I saw it in the RJ. Oh, what's the venue?
What, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Then the thing downtown that Clint Holmes is playing in. Notoriety or something?
Yeah. That's, and I don't know about Clint Holmes, but she'll fit in there well. It has a pretty strong kind of Latino Hispanic flavor to it.
Well, it's work. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And so for all of you folks out there that want to see Charo play, David will do the mixing honors and shoot on down to Las Vegas. I'm sure there's other things going on there too.
We'll get our coochies going.
That's really cool. Hey, so Chris Carlton, what's happening in Miami? How's thing hanging over there? How are they hanging over there?
Well, we've got a little bit of work going on. We actually got to mix a concert and it was live music with 16 musicians on stage. That was a lot of fun. Everybody was happy to be back again. But because things have been, relatively slow, we've been working on other projects and this is one of them that's coming up this weekend. And it should be a lot of fun. I don't know if I'll win, but we're going to try. So other than racing around the Bay and mixing an occasional concert, there's been a couple of installations here and there, but not a whole lot else. We're looking at the cruise lines possibly reopening soon, and NCL is requiring that all their patrons get vaccinated. And, of course, our governor is against that, but private industry is going to do what they're going to do. And the only recourse he has is to not give them a state contract. And I don't think NCO really cares if they get a state contract from the state of Florida.
So is that Norwegian Cruise Lines? Is that who you're talking about?
That's correct. Yeah, it's one of the big ones.
Did you just say that they're requiring all their passengers to be vaccinated?
That's correct.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great news. I'm also happy to hear that some companies doing that.
I think that the Carnival Cruise Lines is going to follow suit, and because they're the ones that own the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat are, of course, I told you last week, are making special sections for people that have been vaccinated and can show that. They get the prime seats and they get to sit a little closer. So I think they're going to follow suit. And it really is, from everybody complaining early on, I think one of the last gigs I did was for SEAL before the shutdown. It was for a cruise line. And we had to go through so many tests and answer so many questions before we could get on board. Had we been to China? Have we, in the last 2 months or whatever? And this was, I think, in January of 2020. And it was just starting to, be serious then. But, I think because of the cruise lines having suffered so badly, we've had cruise ships that were not able to come into port, that were anchored offshore, lined up, anchored offshore, and crews that were stuck out there for the longest time. So, I think they're going to be really strict about it. And, the states, it has nothing to say to them. So.
Well, Chris, I read today that Carnival gave the CDC a 2-week deadline to let them start booking cruises, or they're going to pull out of all U.S. ports.
Okay.
They just said, CDC, you got to get off your tail, let us get it going. Let us follow our protocol, or we're going to leave the United States.
But that's a very large organization. So I don't see them doing that right away. But yeah. It's
I mean,
it's a nice. I read that as well, and you are correct. I just don't see how they're going to do that. But if that means they're going to curtail the cruises that originate here in the United States, okay, I can understand that. But Miami is home base for so much of it. I mean, Harrison is living here, so it's.
I think it was the ports. They were just going to move the ships out. I didn't think it was the whole operation.
Yeah. Well, they have to. They because they can't do anything from these ports. I think it's aside from what they are going to require their passengers to do. I'm not sure what, I'm not clear on what exactly Carnival is requiring their passengers to do, if they need to show proof of vaccination or what, but it's an interesting situation and different, here in Florida, the cruise lines are very, very large sources of income for the state and local government as well. So.
Now, you mentioned something about the vaccination, and everybody has its certificate for a vaccination. Now, I've heard different facts. What do you guys think about whether you should get your vaccination certificate laminated? Has anybody heard anything about that?
Yeah. So smart thing to do is, as soon as you get it, take a picture of it so it's on your phone. If you have a scanner at your house, scan it and save it somewhere electronically. If you don't have a scanner, email yourself the picture so you can save it somewhere. And then if you want to get it laminated, get it laminated. But what happens is the little sticker that they put on there that has the lot number of the actual vaccine you got, it's heat sensitive paper in some cases. So what you would rather do is photocopy it and then laminate the photocopy, because then at that point you're still going to be able to read the lot number. And then
I don't think I had a lot number on mine. Or I think maybe they wrote that in an and. I don't
it's
remember.
on the little sticker, because they peel it off the jar, the little vial. They peel it off and stick it on there. But yeah, I took mine. I took a picture. I scanned it and I threw it in my desk drawer with my voter registration card and my passport.
Mine, they didn't do that. I'm positive there was no sticker on mine. What about you guys? Who did anybody get a sticker?
No, mine was written down.
Mine's written down too. I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah,
it's
mine was
written down.
handwritten. Mine was written the first day and a sticker the next time.
Idelson, aren't you actually giving out vaccinations? Idelson?
I was a part of the CERT, which is our emergency response group, and we just did crowd control for the vaccinations they were doing at the conference center. So I'm not giving them. I'm not that sort of doctor. I'm a PhD type. You wouldn't want me to dispense medicine.
Oh, well, you have no idea how much I would like that, though. I have a feeling you would give out the good stuff.
Well, you can see I gave Chris the good stuff. Why don't you spotlight pin Chris's screen to the spotlight for everyone?
Let's see which is Chris.
Which
okay,
Chris?
yes.
Chris
Look at
Fenwick.
this. Yeah, I'll
Fenwick's
spotlight.
got the little percentage meters on there.
Oh, Chris Fenwick. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris
Isn't that
Fenwick.
cool?
He's using a new product called Macro IO, and Chris and I are beta testing it. This puts you all in circles, and the size of the circle says how much you've been talking. So you can see Jan's got the big circle there.
Jan's been talking 30%. It shows you right there. Steve's been talking 1%. I'm only 1%. Mike Brown has talked 19%. It's kind of cool. And if you could change the view,
Chris, you want to show you? You can put that on top of your desktop.
Yeah, that's what I was going to show you. Let's see, toggle view. So here it is over my desktop. Hold on, gotta go like this. It's not. It doesn't show you everybody. It just shows you the most.
The big talkers.
And not even that. I guess most recent players.
Yeah, most recent talkers.
And so as it moves, as you roll over it, it lets you at your user interface behind you, so you can be doing something while you participate in a meeting.
So did you have to put those names in there by hand?
No. No.
Because I changed my name and it didn't change it. I noticed.
I don't know. Now I don't know how to get back to the other view. Let's see, toggle view.
Should be on the side there, Chris. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go. That's really impressive. Only 30%. I'm gonna have to increase my my rambling.
You gotta up your game, Jan. You're down to 29.
But this is a new I got a link for the beta test. Yeah. Let me do some invites. If you want an invite, just put an email in the chat and I'll send the invites to you. But it's a new company. They were gamers and they are trying to create a different interface. So this is a alternative client. Chris, let's see.
Let me spotlight him again.
As far as I'm concerned, right now it's just kind of a novelty, but it's also very early. I think I think they're onto something.
Well, I think if you could somehow export the metrics. So there's a website called aka.tv that tracks hashtags on Twitter and tells you which are the trending hashtags, who's interacting with them the most, and you can dig a little deeper and kind of see where that audience is from, which is super useful. Like if, Kelly wanted to, put out a hashtag for their new mic model and everybody there was at Electrosonic was pushing the hashtag, you could then go into this website and kind of see where else that hashtag is trending, and is it trending more in the Southwest or in the East or in Europe or whatever, right? So this would be useful for that too, because if you start getting into bigger Zoom groups, it'd be useful, I think, for some marketers and market research people to figure out who was the most engaged in the conversation. And like this kind of venue is a very free-flowing conversation, but if you were having a very focused discussion about one or two topics, I think that'd be super useful to somebody doing market research to see who was most engaged on that topic, who spoke the most, who spoke the least, so on and so forth.
Well, they're trying to not only, in addition to this, how the people spoke, then they have a built-in tool that then immediately at the end of the meeting, you could give your opinion of the meeting, make comments. They can track. They have other things that they're talking about, sort of thumbs up, thumbs down, but sort of like an ongoing opinion meter. So if Jan's joke this morning, we all would have voted it down. It would have been a dip in the
we don't need a meter for that. We all know it.
Yeah, and if it's been a good joke, we all would have thumbed up. So part of what they're trying to do is increase the engagement, both during the meeting and post meeting, for people to analyze it. We'll see. They're just one of, I think, a lot of people who are going to start using Zoom in different ways. I imagine there'll be concerts where people will be in a Zoom meeting connecting with their friends in the concert hall. Who knows what this will bring.
I think it's a great idea, like for someone like myself who's hosting the show, to see who, like for example, Steve Sluter. He was at 1%. So Steve, say something.
Well, Jen, there's actually a feature there, and I don't know how this implements when somebody is in the normal Zoom client. But let's say Steve Sluter. So when I roll over him, I have this little button here. It says, "Would love to hear from you." So Steve, I'm going to click on this button and tell me if you get like a direct message from me or something. Do you get a message in your chat?
I did get it.
So there you go, Jan. But by hosting your meeting on this, here's John Lackner. He hasn't said anything. Hey, I would love to hear from you. Who else hasn't talked?
Right here, I just pulled in.
Ed could probably step it up a bit, so I'll give him a message. That's kind of a neat feature. And yeah, it's visual. I can see who's talking, but I can very quickly send out a little message without having to click on a bunch of stuff and type a bunch of stuff. I can literally just roll over the people who haven't said anything and hit this one. I don't know if you could see it close enough. Let me make.
There's a speaker. When you go over it, we see the speaker.
Yeah. So if I make this bigger and I roll over Dave here, and then there's this little speaker and it says, "Would love to hear from you." So I click on that and he gets a little message. He's probably getting a message right now. So there's there's definitely some cool things. They've definitely given it some thought. It does not work in a webinar yet, only in meetings. So I hope I didn't derail your meeting by turning this on, but I thought it was an interesting.
No, it's impossible to derail Jan. He does it all on his own.
It is only a
but it's an audio group. But I mean, I think the interesting thing here, which is this is just a Zoom client, and it doesn't show here. But when Chris, go back to the overlay model.
Okay, there it is.
Okay, and you should see, you need to get your screen to your left. You should see the normal Zoom menu.
Hold on. There we go. Way over here.
Yeah. So if you this is actually not a client, but if you look there, this matches the Zoom menu exactly. So they're using the Zoom SDK. So the idea here is if somebody knows Zoom, you could put them into this environment and they're comfortable, they use it.
Well, now, John, you're talking about on the bottom right-hand side where you see the clock of 4:02. Is that what you're talking about, that Zoom client?
No, well, that's the other Zoom client. Yeah, I'll just pull that out of the way.
What I see right now,
You're talking about this menu right here.
His black magic design.
Yeah, that's the menu normally you see at the bottom of your Zoom call.
There you go.
Here's my editor, and this is just me working. Sorry.
Oh, I see you've got a lot of stuff up on your screen. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a busy man, and he has taken his time to honor our presence with this. Thank you so much. And this is really cool. So we're learning something today. How we're going to use this, I have no idea, but we'll figure it out somehow. You know,
hey, Marty, you had something to add?
Oh, only that I went to try this and I found out that it's a Mac only product.
Oh, I'm kind of surprised to hear that people are still using Windows machines. That's odd.
What dark corner of the world do you live in then, Fenwick?
Yeah, because I mean, it's only 78% of the business community that uses Windows machines. But
really, that sounds odd to me.
Or folks who want to fix their computers, you know,
unfortunate
people enjoy the right to repair. John Deere tractors. You know.
Every time I hear anybody using statistics, I think about this one statistic about how 45% of all women have used vibrators and the other 55 have them brand new. I just love that one. That's a great statistic. So
I'll give you another one. 99% of attorneys give the rest a bad name.
Hey now.
That could be the joke of the week, but it's not. All right, that's not the joke of the week.
I thought you were going to say 99% of statistics are all made up on the fly.
That's 80%.
Those are my statistics that are 99% made up.
Those bot flies.
Yeah. So Tim, we haven't heard from you. You're only at 1%. Come on, say something.
Oh, you're a dangerous man.
Even my milk is at 2%.
Jan is going to start grading us.
Hey, it's been a day for ruthless reviews. That's all I'll say. Well, let's see. I actually went and mixed a show for a client theater that is without technical staff because they all were let go during the pandemic. So I took myself, a monitor guy, some gear, and a lighting director, and we did a show on Friday. And we're doing another show for them in about 3 weeks. And I just took a stagehand call to be audio department head on professional bull riding. So there's 4 days of that. And that gets into that question about testing and COVID and procedures and policies. The venue is managed by ASM Global, and their stand locally is that they will do whatever the state requires, or the promoter or artist, whichever is the most stringent. And with the bull riders, that includes masks, that includes on-site rapid COVID testing. And we come in on the build day. They don't care. The next day, when we're going to be around talent and livestock, we all get tested for those 2 days. And then on the out day, they don't care again. But that's 4 days of work as a department head. So I'm pretty happy about that. Most of the calendar has not budged. None of the stuff that got moved out of June or July into August and September, none of that has been moved back earlier. So, but we are seeing a lot of, we're seeing things starting to pop up. I know for the local crewing situation, The IA is is dispatching more work, and we've turned out a bunch more labor quotes. So it will be interesting to see what we get. But it's looking up. The one thing I will note about the professional bull riders, when they said that everyone will be required to wear masks, they specifically said, and that includes riggers, and we will send people home if they fail to comply.
Well, very, very cool. And Rod, look, what are you looking at? Rod Bauer, what are you looking at? Whatever we're looking at, there it is. Whatever it is, it looks like a lake. It looks like railroad tracks. I can't figure it out.
It's actually my house. I was trying to unmute my thing. I'm on my phone because I'm outside. It was a beautiful day, but I live on the river, so that's the shop behind my house.
Wow, beautiful.
Can I ask what river?
Yeah, which river?
It's the Susquehanna River that goes through Pennsylvania. I live in Williamsport, so it's right through the center of Pennsylvania. Susquehanna River, it goes all the way down to Harrisburg and all the way down, actually all the way to Chesapeake Bay. So this is just one little branch of it. But in the winter, it's great because all the leaves fall off, so I have a full view. But in the summer, I have that hole right there. It'll all grow in. But, you know, since I'm bragging a little bit here, this has been my COVID blessing. I built this addition in 2004, and then it sat for about 12 years. I ran out of money. So now I've had the time, and so I finished this balcony, finished the upper deck and this lower deck, and I'm hoping that sometime this summer I'm going to finish this deck. So that's been one blessing of having time, is that I've been able to work on my house.
Yay, good for you.
But
so is that train are those train tracks active?
Yeah, they come by a couple times a day. They're just like 4 to maybe the most I've seen is 20 cars. There's a steel mill in Williamsport, and then there's about a 25-minute drive up to Jersey Shore, and so they run cars back and forth. You'll see steel in them. When they did some fracking, sometimes you'll see salt or sand cars go by. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The kids love it. I mean, nobody really plays around with the tacks. No one ever gets hurt. They respect the train, but it's kind of fun to watch them go by, and the kids wave at them. They'll beep the horn every now and then.
They still put pennies on the tracks?
Oh yeah, we did that. We've done that many times over the years.
There you go. That must be amazing to have a train track right in your backyard.
What's the burn mark right there by the train track? Do you have like fires out there?
That's some of my brush. Yeah, I have a fire pit right here going because I had cut down this big pine tree that died. So I made these nice little stumps, and then we found termites in the house, and then I found termites in the stumps. So I'm dealing with them right now, and I'm now burning all my seats as we speak and getting rid of all the wood. And I got a guy coming tomorrow to stump grind these out. So termites are a problem when you're out in the country.
Hey, did you know you can get a beagle to sniff them out?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I need. Actually, the issue is I can't even spray chemicals. There's these little microscopic like little worms, because my well is right there, which is 20 feet from my house, and it only is 100 feet in the ground. So I can't use any chemicals anywhere around my house. So I found this, they're like little parasite things that only affect, like they go after grubs, fleas, termites, anything that lives in the ground, but they don't do anything to humans. They don't do anything to pets. So you pour them in the ground and they go down and they attack everything. It's pretty wild.
Well, there we've learned something. Today's been a learning lesson about life today.
So
that's all I can say.
Yeah, because I've had. Go ahead.
So with all those decks you have on your house, I need you to invent something, because I always thought that we should have a deck buddy where you have a clamp that you could clamp on like a table or a bar. You clamp your bar and have an outdoor bar there. You can close it up and leave your bar so you don't have to carry stuff in and out of the house. It's already there. Build on the things that would live outside, but you can cover them up and be part of the house. Or you could clamp on and have like a serving trays on your deck.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm getting ready to put tiki torches. I'm going to put them all over, about 20 of them. So the whole back at night, I can light the whole thing up. But they're clamp on ones that will clamp on the railing and lean over the edge, so it doesn't, it'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's really.
But I'm just looking forward to some gigs. I got some gigs coming in. I got a dance recital in May, and then I got a 4-band blues festival in May, and then June's that big hair band show I talked about a couple weeks ago, and that's turning into be a headache because, you know, I got a local RV company. They'll come bring me 3. Did I lose you?
No, we're hearing you.
Okay. So I normally have a local RV company bring me like 3 RVs, and then I normally have bands share it. Well, this is 5 bands each day. And now I'm getting these addendums to the riders, like we want, you know, certain things like all the hand towels have to be wrapped in plastic. We have to know that the campers were certified, cleaned, and locked, and with a, you know, a cleaning stamp or something on them. And it's getting to very, very interesting. I don't know if this RV company is going to bring me out 5 campers or not. It's also a space issue. So that part of it is kind of being a little tricky, you know, and same with backline. I'm not going to bring in 10 sets of backline. They're going to be sharing 2 kits and a whole bunch of Marshall amps because it's a fundraiser for the United Way. So I've got a limited budget. And so this is going to be an interesting one to deal with, but hopefully people are, like we're saying, excited to play, and hopefully they're a little bit more giving and understanding, and we'll just want to have fun for the day, you know. Hopefully
Yeah,
I'm not dealing with too many egos.
Tough to be safe with a low budget.
Yeah,
It is.
And
so I have,
antithetical.
I'm reaching out with a cleaning company. So I'm going to try to have that part figured out. Like, especially they're all going to be cleaned overnight for the next day. Because we're not going to change out campers, but, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now we lost Jeff Dunham. We had him for July, and I think he's canceled. We thought he went to the West Coast, but now I think he's canceled this year. So now don't have a whole lot for July, but September and August and even into October is all getting pretty good. I just had a festival that I did last year. That's a cancer benefit, one that I really liked. They have about 3,000 people, and they pick a kid every year, and everything that they raise goes to one kid every year, and they raise anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000. And they brought me in last year to step up the whole audio, and I really enjoyed it. Well, he just sent me the dates, and it's the same date if I have a balloon festival where I'm doing 2 days in bands, and I'm like, really? Like, that's all I have for October. You guys picked the exact same date, and it's really frustrating when that happens, and so. I'm not big enough to do 2 full productions. I can do a small one and a main one, but not 2 at this point. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
And Rod, tell people where you are. What city and state you're in?
I'm in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, maybe northeast, but I'm 3.5 hours north of Philly, 3.5 hours east of New York, and 3.5 hours east of Pittsburgh. I should have said west of New York, but it's kind of like right there. So within about an hour and a half, I can rent anything I want. You know, I'm not that far from
you near State College?
Blair Brothers. Yes, I'm an hour from State College.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, that's interesting that things are coming back. Now, Steve Sluter, you were about to say something, but then somewhere along the line, we realized you were at only 1%, so we had to cut you off. So now we're going to give you a chance to get all the way up to 3%.
So last Friday and Saturday were fishing days for me, and had to get up early Sunday morning to do a Easter sunrise service. I actually mixed something I haven't done in quite a while. That was pretty easy though. We're getting a few jobs coming in, not too much right now, but just hanging in there like everybody else. You know, the calendar is filling up a little bit, which is good to see, because last year it was all the flex system we use. Everything was black. That's canceled. So we have some inquiries and tentative and released orders, and it's starting to fill in a little bit.
You know what this reminds me of? The joke of the week right now is where our industry is very similar right now to what the snail said that hitched the ride on the back of a turtle. Whee! And we're going really slow, but it's exciting for the snail. And so we're there. Anyway. So let's open the room. Anybody who has anything to say, let's just throw it open and come on.
I would say this on the tail of what Steve was saying. If you guys, those of you that are in live production, involved in the event industry, I'd say hang on, because 39,000 people went to a baseball game a few nights ago in Texas, and they didn't care. And I think that's what's going to happen now, is you're going to have millions and millions and millions of people clamoring for any kind of entertainment, sporting, whatever. And you're going to start getting phone calls daily about this event, that event, add this, add that. Are you available? We need stuff. And
it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
The question is, Mike, what about in your city, in Vegas? You know, when's Cirque going to start up again? When's the big shows going to start up at Caesars and stuff?
Cirque is a little bit of a touchy subject because remember, they also went through a bankruptcy while all this was happening. What I am hearing is that only 3 shows are ever coming back.
How many did they have? Like 19 or something?
7.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not
3 out of 7 will come back, and the rest just will never reopen.
So my question is, do you happen to know the time frame for when they're coming back?
Cirque has not posted anything. There'll come a point. So right now the hotels, there are no hotels left on the Strip that are not open 7 days a week. All Strip hotels are back to 7 days a week operation. I think what'll happen is, and particularly right after my show in May, in late May, early June is when some of the bigger conventions start happening. The biggest one right now is World of Concrete, which is 60-some thousand people. That's scheduled for early June, and that's a go. That's happening. Everybody has said it's happening on both
at the convention center.
At the convention center, yep.
And 60,000 people coming into town from out of town or local?
Mostly from out of town, yeah.
Wow, that's a good sign, right? How many people does the CES bring in typically?
Oh, CES brings in 300,000 to 400,000. But the
Just
challenge
put
with
it in perspective.
CES,
Great, okay.
CES has a lot of international presence that can't come right now.
Has the sphere been completed yet?
I'm sorry?
Has the sphere been completed yet?
No, the sphere is probably, I'm going to guess, about halfway done.
But hey, speaking of things being done, the stadium's complete, right?
Oh, the stadium's absolutely complete. And we're hosting, according to the NFL, this fall, every NFL stadium, including the Raiders, will be at 100% capacity.
Wow. So do you have a schedule for that stadium this fall yet?
I'm sure there is one. I haven't looked it up, but I would imagine the first people to use it will probably be UNLV, because it's now the UNLV home stadium as well. And I would imagine college football will kick off a little bit before pro. We've also been guaranteed 9 games this season instead of just 8.
Wow, that's great. And what about the Garth Brooks concert?
That's in July, and that's a go, and it's sold out.
Oh, come on. Okay, wait, back up a second. So July, Garth Brooks at the stadium, sold out, as in full capacity, sold out?
Yes, sir. 80-some thousand tickets.
But that's been a while now, Kenny. That's been a while.
What part of July? What part of July?
I don't remember, but I want to say middle of the month.
Yes, but it's been pushed back 3 different times. Now he was also going to do the Bank of America Stadium where Brian is in North Carolina. What's happening there, Brian?
I haven't heard anything on that lately. He's in the middle of his pushback window, so I don't know whether they're going to push it back again. But I haven't heard anything one way or the other.
Yeah, I wonder if Marty Hom's thing is going, as we know, he's doing a testing situation where you walk up to a machine like the temperature checker, but you open your mouth, it scans the inside of your mouth and scans your eyes to see whether or not you're a carrier of COVID. I wonder if those things are going to become very popular at the stadium, as it only takes a few seconds to get people to walk through, just like a metal detector. Anybody have any ideas on that? Okay, good. We're moving along now.
So going back, the AFC teams have 9 games this year. The NFC teams have 8 games this year. Then they'll flop because they've added to a 17th game to the season. and the NFL has not released the schedule yet. That's another month away, so we won't know on that. The Hornets, and I haven't gone up to a Hornets game yet. They started taking people in, and they're doing everything on the entry touchless. They banned all cash within the stadium, so you have to pay through everything through their app or a credit card. So they're trying to minimize all the contact points within Spectrum Center.
Yep. Well, it seems slowly but surely everybody's coming back. And one of the things that I've noticed is that my phone is starting to ring a little bit more as well. And what I am seeing, and I think this is going to happen now, people are starting to hold back on their used gear sales. They're saying, you know what, I think I'm going to have a bunch of shows. I think I'm going to pull that back. I'm like, for example, I have one stage that was for sale. And now the seller of the stage has told me that he's got dates for this stage all the way up to October. But if I could sell it, any date that he doesn't have, he would allow the new buyer to have the stage to operate as long as he could get covered for his dates. And what I am seeing through this aspect of it is that I think there's going to be a shortage of gear, because I don't think the manufacturers are going to be able to cover the need once the used gear market starts to dry up. So if anybody has any comments on that, I would love to hear it. Ken? You seem, you were a horse trader from way back.
Well, there's some things that are, you get the money. The other angle that's going on too is that there's what tours are coming out and what people are bidding is, it depends on right now, like the 338, is holding out, is a lot of people are wanting to go to that. And that's becoming the who gets the tour is if you provide a 338 or, if you try to give them an SD10 or something else, that's when it's the things. So you either got to buy it or get the tour or don't do the tour. So there's a lot of things going on is where you can transition. The problem that I'm having is that if I'm short of PSM 1000s, what do I buy more PSM 1000s? How do I get by? Because I really don't want to buy anything that I'm expecting within next year to year and a half of a new version. And do I buy something at the end of its life cycle when I need to be in the front of something else?
Well, Ken, you can run a few of those from me.
You got about 50, 60 channels of PSM 1000 sitting?
Oh, I have about 6 or 7.
Well, maybe Steve will become your banker, Ken. You never know.
We were discussing this, about 5 months ago or so, wondering if when touring and other events started back up, if artist demands would be, we must have this new thing or not, if there'd be any flexibility involved. And of course, there was a lot of, oh yeah, they'll be flexible. And that's absolutely not what I'm seeing. I'm having to bring a console package in from Nashville to satisfy an artist for a one-off, and it's going to be $15,000.
I think that's a question of which level of artist you're talking about. Would you agree, Tim? In other words, like, is that a A-level artist that's asking for that, or is it a C-level artist?
I never heard of this artist, but then I don't.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
And I hate to say that because
that theory.
I don't consume a lot of popular culture. I don't listen, my radio's on NPR stations, so I don't hear what's on the radio. I don't listen to Spotify, and I don't pay a lot of attention to what the young people listen to. That's probably because I'm not involved with the music on that level. I'm not personally listening to it. So when I saw this writer come across my desk, my immediate thought was, who the hell's this guy? So I go to YouTube and I listen to what he does. And now I understand why they need it, because they can only do their show one way. They cannot do this show any other way with their personnel other than with this equipment package. So I understand why they need it. And it's for a fundraising gig where there's a pretty deep pocket behind it. So the client said, yeah, whatever, we got the budget for that. Just take care of it. Make sure we get it.
Mm-hmm. I think Kelly wants to say something, and I know I think Ralph wants to say something.
Yeah,
so Kelly,
this is what I was talking about earlier, that what I'm running into with television production, reality TV production. We have a number of new products out, Electrosonics DCR-822, the Duet in-ears and IFBs and everything, which are very popular. And the audio engineers want them, but the rental houses don't have the cash to buy them right now. So we're in that rock and a hard place of, we have a lot of new products, we have a lot of exciting things going on, and so we've got it, this ball's got to roll. There's got to be some money going on in order to make it all work out. So I'm definitely in this rock and a hard place right now.
So do we see Electrosonics financing in our futures?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, Jan has.
That's what I was thinking
In all
too.
seriousness, Jan knows several financing people who are comfortable in this industry. So I would recommend you send Jan an email, and he'll get you a couple names and numbers, because they've been very gracious with me in the past.
Good.
Yeah. And also saying that I just got this thing from a company that I work with, Vend Leasing, and they surveyed 700 sales leaders in a survey of what they're expecting to happen. And, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about that next week. Marty, you want to say something? And I think Ralph wants to say something.
Yeah, so I was wondering, are these for use in particular venues, or for here and there to be rented by the audio crews?
Hey, Marty, you need a little more gain, please, on your mic, a little more volume.
All right. So if this is for venues that you're looking to rent equipment, and if like financing is even a remote possibility, as an integrator, I started working with a financer that does a slightly different arrangement. It's a subscription arrangement. They call it technology as a service. And so rather than leasing a particular piece or set of equipment for a term, and then at the end of the term, you can either buy it out or send it back. This is an arrangement where in leasing, the intent is either you're going to own it or you're going to upgrade it at the end of the term. What makes this a little different is that you're paying to use the equipment, and you can upgrade it at any time during the term. So, and you can do audio gear, video gear, any kind of technology. This as a service seems like it has some really interesting aspects to it. It can include service contracts if you're buying it from an integrator, but you go through a vendor or an integrator who sets up this kind of arrangement with these kinds of financing companies that offer this. It's very interesting.
That would seem to me, and speaking of which, we have another manufacturer running into the room right now from Soundcraft, and he might address that as well. I don't want to catch him blind in regards. I don't want to catch him blind. But one of the things that I would find, Marty, is what you've said in something like that, where the product line is so costly. For example, you're talking over $100,000 on some of the consoles that are being used right now in touring and in installs, that for them to upgrade, or let's just say a video projector, which could be easily $100,000, and life expectancy is not very long as it is, for them to upgrade that, the cost of money at that point in time might be too exorbitant to make it worthwhile in our industry. But before we go into anything else, Ralph, I know you wanted to say something, so please, if somebody's not flushing the toilet right behind you, let's hear what you got to say.
Well, I could light a fuse here on this thing, because from a guy that's on a bus right now going to mix a show, versus 40 years of being a businessman in this dopey industry, watching what might happen. If I was a business manager or a personal manager for any artist out there, and I'm just talking about touring just hyper focused on touring. You know, I know the integration market has been on fire. Film and television have been on fire, and you know, there's a few companies and you know, independent contractors have been able to capitalize on that. But anybody that's been just, you know, steeped in concert touring has gotten their ass kicked. So and guys, sorry, I'm going to get really passionate about this thing, and I might start throwing some F-bombs out there, but any motherfucker that comes out and says, I need a new Happy Man 3000 that cost $100,000 to do my dopey little tour, I'm going to throat punch him. It's like, work with your people, man. People have gotten their butt kicked. Please be, you know, have a little bit of business acumen and go out there and just make shit happen. The people that don't do that, I think there's going to be some old school blackballing going on, and I would be behind that, because we have to, as an industry, as a touring industry, try to come out of this thing. There's going to be the potential for a bloodletting of the race to the bottom is enormous, but there's also potential for you know, supply and demand, and it may work out. Nobody has a crystal ball to figure this thing out, but it intrigues me that anybody's going to be pushing anybody into a corner to provide something. If you can't make something happen with whatever your vendor of choice, whatever situation you're in, or the venue, what have you, work, you don't deserve to be working. And I'm really passionate about this thing. There's a lot of really talented people out there. Don't be a diva.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely, and I am sure, you know, I'm sure Steve Sluter would agree with you, and I'm sure that, you know, I don't see Doug where, you know, Tim is at. I don't see Doug going out and buying a brand new Digico or a Soundcraft or anything along those lines to fulfill a rider. And I can't imagine that anybody that you've worked with will say, I absolutely have to have this, because you'll just say to them, listen, this is what you used last time, and this is what you're going to use this time. And, you know, and I don't see where the competition is going to say, oh, yeah, well, to get that tour, I'll go into the hole. I just don't see it happening. Tom?
Always drove I mean, not always, but a lot of the times drove the integration market, right? There was some marquee value to a certain product line. Right now, we're going to be playing backseat for a while, and I think that's fine. And I feel bad for some of the manufacturers that aren't going to be able to sell to some of the big touring companies. But, you know, most of the income's been coming from those, you know, theme parks and churches, whatever. So there's going to be a bit of brave new world going on, but I just don't think anyone should hold a vendor's feet to the fire for some brand new product.
Okay. Well, Chris wants to say something, but I want to hear from Tom Durr first. Tom is, you know, he represents Soundcraft. What are you seeing out there right now? Because we're talking about everybody now is starting to get back. We're starting to get phone calls. We're starting to look at things. Ralph is on the bus right now on a tour with Tracy. What are you seeing, Tom? What are you seeing? And
you know, we're you know, just because of the age of our product range, and you know, we're not playing in that national tour market, you know, for the most part, but the install market is healthy. I mean, we had, as I think I may have mentioned last week or maybe on Robert's call, you know, we had a strong month last month, and it looks like it's going to continue unabated this month. But, you know, I agree with Ralph. I mean, you know, if you start looking at the state of, you know, consoles, since that's sort of what I do, you know, over the last few years, there's been, you know, a good chunk of new releases and product that are, you know, still pretty new, and a lot of people bought in there. So I can't, you know, I agree. I don't think it'd be sort of galling to have someone request something that wasn't already in inventory for a tour. I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, it's sort of insulting to an extent, I think.
Yeah. Chris, what do you want to say? You had something you want to say?
I just had a question for Ralph. He mentioned the new Happy Man 3000. Does that come standard with Dante, or is that an add-on aftermarket feature?
Oh, it's all an upsell. Yeah, no, it's
I loved it. Happy Man 3000. I want one. I don't know what it is, but I gotta have it.
You can attribute that to George Lynch. I used to work with him for a while, and he was always being pitched pedals and this and that and the other thing, and that was his. You know, we were going to go to market with the Happy Man 3000, which didn't exist. He just wanted to make some money off of it. Anyway, use it.
Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. Hey, Ed, so talk to us. What are you seeing now? Okay, so everybody's been hearing about this mystery and phantom Midas board. What are you seeing as far as orders go? Because now, what a time to put in a new console into the marketplace right now, where there's no money.
Well, it's all over the place. There's so much anger towards the Music Tribe right now because of his change in marketing strategies that valued dealers that were loyal to Midas. I've heard them say, you know what, I'll never buy another Midas product ever again. But on the other hand, there's some guys that are super impressed with that product that they've already put some money down on it. So it's all over the place. I think the specs proved to be impressive, and the guys that have already received them seem to back that up. But yeah, it's not a good situation with the dealer base for the Music Tribe right now.
Yeah, it seems to me that their marketing campaign on all of their products is designed to put them out of business. It just seems that way to me.
I've often wondered if you put Elon Musk and Uli Behringer in a studio, both of them with a microphone for an hour, who's going to say the stupidest thing?
Both.
Brilliant.
No, I mean, to me, I can't quite understand why he decided to cut his inventory chain completely so that nobody can get any product that he manufactures here in the United States. Doesn't make any
Jan,
sense.
can you give us a little more background on that? What are you talking about? Cutting inventory chain?
Basically, right now, if you can't buy a Behringer or a Midas because there's no inventory in the country.
Is that by design? Is that what you're saying? Somebody
Ed
said that's a good idea
to address that. It must have been his design to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of confusion and a lot of misinformation and a lot of things that have been beyond anybody's control. But what happened was the Music Tribe parted ways with Starin, which was the distributor. And they were looking to find another distributor, and it took a while. They finally found some company out of Canada called EDIL Media Group, and so that took a while to get them set up. And then in the meantime, Uli Behringer decided to take the MI products and take those products away from the brick and mortar dealer base and market them through a handful of select big box stores like Sweetwater and Amazon. And then he took some of the pro-type crossover products like the Behringer X32 and put that in that category. And then, the Tannoy and the Midas and Lab Group and the pro products, he decided to go ahead and allow the integrators to continue to buy and sell those products at a decent gross profit margin. So it's so confusing right now on who is authorized for what line and what product, and I think things will get sorted out. But you're right, product has not been available for the pro dealers at least. And we are told now that finally quite a few containers are due to hit the new warehouse in Champlain, New York at the end of this month.
And does that apply to all the brands in that Music Tribe category?
That's a really good question, and we don't have the answer to that on what's coming in, what's not. It's I know they're targeting the top best 200 best-selling products is what they're trying to start with, at least.
Well, and it doesn't help that there's only 2 salespeople for the entire Americas on the pro side.
And complicating things for everybody is, all the manufacturers are seeing supply chain issues with, chips. I mean, the AKM fire being, the sort of baseline that everyone references, but we've got a product which will be unnamed that we've got issues with because we can't get a Cirrus Logic chip, and we literally don't know when when we'll be able to supply at the moment. Hopefully we'll have more clarity soon, but so it's not just, part of it's Behringer's, in my view, bias at IM business practices, but equally there's supply chain and other things at work.
Yeah. And also I would think that one of the things that it's done, and Tom, I would address this with you because there's nobody here from Allen and Heath, but I am seeing more and more calls for Soundcraft and for Allen and Heath, because that's what's replacing the Midas product and the Behringer product.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting more interest, from small, obviously the Sweetwaters, Amazons, the big people who are part of the Behringer distribution scheme are all good, but a lot of the small contractors and small retail / contracting channel are ticked, and so they're looking at us and Allen and Heath predominantly as alternatives. And not only that, you introduced the USB product for streaming, with people because everybody's working out of their homes now, and all of a sudden that must be a big product for you as well. Correct. Yeah. Basically, as I've said before, last year during the pandemic, anything with a USB just did gangbusters, whether it's interfaces, microphones, consoles, just nuts. And, people I knew at friends of mine at Rupert Neve and Universal Audio all reported record years last year. Yeah. I remember there was a period of time, and the guys from the office hours can chip in on this, is that the Logitech C920, that's the camera that most people use, you couldn't find one. An ATM Mini, couldn't find one. I mean, these kind of things were just disappearing because so many people were buying it. Anyway, I just want to go back.
I had to buy my webcam from a scalper on the street. So, yo, check this out, man. I got a Logitech,
Got your Logitech C920s over here. Got your Moco's over here.
Yeah, I did too. My buddy hooked me up with some Chinese knockoff one because they just weren't around. I hooked up my good friend David Dansky with one at a discount. So there you go. During when I could have gotten top dollar.
I had two guys pull up next to me in a van in a parking lot and say that they accidentally overpacked the van and had some cameras to sell me.
Nice.
It just fell off the back of a truck. So anyway, one thing I want to go backwards a little bit because he's out of the room again. So we're not going back. We're moving ahead. Hey, listen, let's keep this going here, but let's say goodbye to those people that are watching us on YouTube and Facebook so we could talk about them. Just remember, if you like the show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, still give it a thumbs up and tell your friends about it because, it's like the Howard Stern thing, people that hated his show watched every second of his show. The people that loved the show were able to sneak in 20 minutes. So even if you hate the show, watch it, right? And tell your friends, spread the word. We're going to be around for a while. And just remember, if you've watched this so far, what I'm saying is that this is more rewarding than therapy. And it's half the price. So there you have it. So with those guys on YouTube, Facebook, we say fonda do, and we will see you again next week at the same time in the same place. And we're going to stay in the room. And just remember, you get the opportunity to join us early and hear what we're saying when we're not on the record and what we're going to say when we're off the record as well. So with that, you make it happen. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you again really soon next week.